Corneille Nangaa, the leader of the Congo River Alliance, EFCC, which includes the M23 Rebels, has confirmed the death of 11 persons and 65 others sustaining injuries when multiple bombs were detonated in the Congo city of Bukavu when mammoth crowds of Congolese residents gathered at a rally organized by the rebel groups after they took over the town earlier in February 2025, with the Congolese President, Felix Tshisekedi, describing the bombings as a terrorist attack committed by a foreign army currently on Congolese soil. Corneille Nangaa, while addressing reporters on Thursday evening after the attack, said that the bomb attack was orchestrated by President Felix Tshisekedi-led Congolese government, adding that both the attacker and the woman were among the 11 dead. According to Nangaa, in the video footage of the news briefing, 6 out of the 65 persons injured during the bomb blasts are in critical conditions in the hospital. The attack caused 11 deaths and verifications are underway. The author of the attack is among the victims. Corneille Nangaa, leader of the Congo River Alliance, EFCC, which includes the M23, told reporters during the press briefing, adding, "There are 65 injured, 6 of whom are seriously injured and are currently being treated in the operating room." The attack on Bukavu caused 11 deaths, including a woman and the perpetrator of the attack. He said that, "Following today's unfortunate incident, we are obliged to react." The incident occurred on Thursday when leaders of the M23 rebel group, including Nangaa, were meeting residents when the explosions occurred in the central part of Bukavu. Videos and photos shared on social media showed a very large crowd of people fleeing the mass rally in Bukavu and bloodied bodies on the ground. "We are accusing and condemning vigorously the criminal regime of Kinshasa, which just implemented its plan of exterminating civilian populations," EFCC said in a statement. This attack caused several deaths, including a few terrorists from Kinshasa and some injured. 2 of them were immediately apprehended by our services. "This cowardly and barbaric act will not be without consequences," it added. Meanwhile, Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi called the attack a heinous terrorist act that was perpetrated by a foreign army illegally present on Congolese soil, according to AFP International News Agency. It was gathered that the rebel leader, Nangaa, who addressed the mammoth crowd of people in Bukavu, had left the stage before the bombs were detonated. Bukavu is one of 2 key cities in the Kivu region seized in recent weeks by the M23 rebels, who UN experts claimed are backed by Rwandan forces. Kigali has repeatedly denied backing the rebels. A first explosion caused panic, sending spectators fleeing, before a second explosion rang out. Some reports suggest there was a third blast, according to local media. Nangaa had left Independence Square, where the meeting had taken place at the time of the explosions, according to AFP journalists at the scene. It would be recalled that the M23 took control of South Kivu provincial capital Bukavu over a week ago, after capturing Goma, the capital of North Kivu and the main city in the country's east, late last month. The eastern DRC has been the scene of decades of relentless conflict but has been plunged into fresh turmoil as fighters from the M23 group seize a lot of territory in the 2 provinces. Local observers said that the seizure of Bukavu and Goma gives a major foothold in the mineral-rich region to the group, which resurfaced in late 2021. We had earlier in February 2025 reported that the M23 rebels have announced the takeover of South Kivu city of Bukavu in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, and now in control of another major airport in the Kivu region, the Kalamo Airport, after the secessionist armed fighters sacked Congolese soldiers and foreign mercenaries. We had reported that the United Nations, UN, says dozens of inmates with more than 150 female prisoners alongside their babies were burnt alive on January 27, 2025 when some detainees at Muzenze prison in Goma set fire on the facility to escape after M23 advanced to take over the city, forcing prison guards to flee and shot dead many inmates. It would be recalled we had reported that In a bitter reaction to the statement credited to South Africa President Cyril Ramaphosa over the killing of 13 SA soldiers in Goma by M23 rebels, Rwanda President Paul Kagame has talked off over President Ramaphosa's description of Rwanda Defense Force (RDF) as a militia group working with M23 and the SA president's threat. Racial and commented on President Cyril Ramaphosa's ex social media post published, accused South Africa of being a party in the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo who always launch offensive operations against M23 rebels, only trying to manipulate the public by thus falsely claiming to be a peacekeeper in a war the SA has joined hands to escalate. This, as hundreds of Romanian mercenaries contracted to fight against M23 rebels ceded or surrendered to M23 rebels in the presence of the rebels' spokesperson, Willy Ngoma, who was seen in videos warning and cautioning the Romanians never to come to Congo to fight against them before the Romanians were transported to Rwanda for further assistance to their country. We had reported that over 1,200 men of the Armed Forces of Democratic Republic of Congo have ceded or surrendered Goma, the country's largest city, to M23 rebels, with DRC military uniforms flooding the streets after the pulled off the army attires and took refuge at UN peacekeeping military base, leaving South Africa soldiers to continue to fight on. But South African military formation in Congo in a statement denying that its men did not surrender to M23 rebels, insisting that the white flag hoisted by one of his soldiers during heavy gun battle with the rebels was normal military tradition for both sides to cease fire to enable the South Africa troops passage to receive medical supply and as well give room to the M23 rebels the opportunity to rescue their men injured in front of the South Africa military base near Goma Airport. This, as thousands of pro-government protesters attacked and burned some portions of US, French, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and other foreign embassies in Kinshasa. We previously had reported that thousands of prisoners at Munzenze prison facility in Goma, the capital city of North Kivu province in the Democratic Republic of Congo, may have set themselves free after M23 rebels took control of Goma early morning hours, with videos posted online showing civilians flooding back to Goma and welcoming the M23 rebels in a rousing manner. Earlier same day, we also reported that one of the most troubled countries in Africa, Democratic Republic of Congo government begged civilian residents in the country to flood streets on Monday the 27th of January 2025 just as M23 rebels are now in control of Goma, after killing the Congolese military commander, over 9 South Africa soldiers, a total of 12 UN peacekeepers, forcing other Congolese soldiers to surrender their weapons before the 3 a.m. Monday 2025 deadline set. We had earlier in January 2025 reported that M23 rebels in the Democratic Republic of Congo early this year advanced and seized the town of Masisi. Same period, the Congolese government sent 172 death row prisoners to executioners, with 102 already confirmed executed, while the government kept mum on the third batch of 70 prisoners, including the May 19, 2024 37 coup plotters who were convicted and sentenced to death in September 2024, just as the country Minister of Justice, Constant Mutamba, threatened journalists with death penalty if they relate the activities of armed group he described as Rwanda Army and its M23 Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has raised alarms that there are foreign syndicates in Nigeria building camps and recruiting Nigerians for global cryptocurrency fraud and other cybercrimes, just as the chairman of the commission, Ola Olukoyede, says the Anti-Corruption Commission will strengthen its collaborations with other law enforcement agencies to fight financial crimes to scale up the performance of Nigeria economy. Details of the news as presented by the Public Relations Unit of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, reads below. Organized foreign fraud syndicates establishing cells in Nigerian cities. Olukoyede, the executive chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Mr. Ola Olukoyede, has alerted Nigerians that organized foreign fraud syndicates are establishing cells in Nigerian cities and recruiting young Nigerians into serious organized cybercrimes, including cryptocurrency fraud. He made the disclosure in Abuja on Wednesday, February 26, 2025, while receiving participants of the Executive Intelligence Management course, EIMC 18 of the National Institute for Security Studies, NISS, led by the Director of Studies, Hyginus Ngele, to the Commission. Olukoyede expressed surprise on how bandits and insurgents are able to sustain their activities over the years, stressing that the flow of small arms and light weapons across our borders and the involvement of known state actors in the illegal exploitation of minerals in parts of the country all compound the threats in the security landscape. Another dimension that is not given attention is the discovery, recently, that organized foreign fraud syndicates are establishing cells in Nigerian cities and recruiting young Nigerians into serious organized cybercrimes, including cryptocurrency fraud, he said. Speaking further, he stated that by virtue of EFCC's recent discovery, we are beginning to see the likelihood, the propensity that a lot of these people are into illegal importation of arms into the country using cryptocurrency as means of payment. And this is an area that must interest all of us. In the special operations we carried out in Lagos recently, we arrested 194 foreigners in the heart of Victoria Island. 194 of them, Chinese, Filipinos, Eastern Europeans, Tunisians and the like in one building at a time. You can imagine what these guys are doing, 194 of them. Some of them don't even have valid visas and most of the financial activities they carried out they did through cryptocurrency. Another thing that we discovered is that some of the foreigners we arrested were already ex-convicts in their countries. Some of them have been convicted and escaped from their countries and found safe haven in Africa, not only Nigeria. We discovered that they are also developing cells in some other African countries by virtue of the investigation we are carrying out, he said. The EFCC's boss called for spirited efforts at both national and continental levels to combat the menace of internet fraudsters, stressing that the money laundering and national security dimension of the presence of foreign organized crime groups demand close scrutiny. All security, intelligence and law enforcement organizations in Nigeria and indeed Africa must close ranks in dealing with this challenge, he said. Olukoyede decried the fact that Nigeria, for nearly 2 decades, has been besieged by all manners of security challenges ranging from insurgency, banditry, kidnapping for ransom and farmer-herder clashes, which he partly blamed on activities of known state actors. Specifically, he noted that the role of known state actors in stoking the embers of security and corruption challenges has not been fully interrogated. At the level of the EFCC, we have always been suspicious of the activities of known state actors in the areas where we are challenged security-wise. In the Northeast, for instance, the activities of local and international NGOs have been under focus. This was a major impetus for the decision to mandate their registration with SCUML, Special Control Unit Against Money Laundering, a department in EFCC, and a clear directive to notify the Commission on cash movements within the region, he said. Earlier in his speech, NISS Commandant Joseph Obul Odama, who spoke through Ngele, praised Olukoyede's leadership of the EFCC for the Commission's remarkable achievements in combating corruption, money laundering, and other financial crimes, noting that the achievements have not only strengthened Nigeria's integrity but have also served as a model for other nations in Africa and beyond. He further noted that the EFCC, under Olukoyede, has been at the forefront of investigating and prosecuting financial crimes, including those involving known state actors. Your Commission's exploratory activities have uncovered the intricate networks through which some NGOs and other entities channel funds to support hostile known state actors, thereby fueling instability in various parts of the country and the African continent. We recognize the critical role the EFCC plays in disrupting these networks and ensuring accountability. In light of this, we are particularly interested in hearing your insights on how your Commission navigates the complexities of investigating and prosecuting cases involving known state actors. We also seek your contributions on how Nigeria and other African nations can strengthen legal and institutional frameworks to address the challenges posed by these actors while promoting transparency and accountability in their operations. Members of the NISSEIMCA team comprised 74 senior officers, drawn from Nigeria's intelligence community, the military, law enforcement agencies, including the EFCC, strategic government ministries, and representatives from the federal and state governments and international participants from Ghana, Somalia, Rwanda, and the Gambia. The theme for EIMCA team is known state actors in security management, issues, challenges, and prospects for peace and development in Africa, which according to Ngele, was carefully selected in recognition of the growing influence of known state actors in shaping the security landscape across the continent. Part of the highlights of the visit featured an enlightenment and question and answer session, moderated by the Director of EFCC's Public Affairs Department, Commander of the EFCC, CE Wilson Ujeren, Director of SCUML, Commander of the EFCC, CE Daniel Isse, Director Special Duties, Office of the Executive Chairman, CE Friday Ebelo, and Director Legal and Prosecution, CE Silvanus Tahir, SAN, offered insights on what the EFCC has done in strengthening the anti-corruption engagement through its diverse activities. Olukoyede reaffirms using anti-graft fights to stimulate economic growth. The Executive Chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Mr. Ola Olukoyede, has reaffirmed the commitment of the Anti-Corruption Agency to strengthen its collaboration with law enforcement agencies in order to stimulate the economy. He disclosed this in Abeokuta, Ogun State on Monday, February 24, 2025 at the opening ceremony of the 5th edition of the Nigeria Police Annual Conference and Retreat for Senior Officers. The theme of the conference, Improving Nigeria's Internal Security and Economic Prosperity Through Inclusive Policing, he said, aligned with the vision and mission of the EFCC. Stimulating the economy of Nigeria is something that we take very seriously, as part of the theme of this conference, and I assure you of our solid support and commitment to the shared mandate, he said. While commending the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetukun, for convening the conference with such a striking theme, he noted that the police laid a solid foundation for the EFCC. As EFCC, we identify ourselves with the Nigeria Police, and I thank the police for laying a solid foundation for the EFCC. It's a very solid foundation that we are building on, he said. He further noted that most specialized law enforcement agencies in Nigeria came from the Nigeria Police. He reaffirmed the resolve of the EFCC to continue to collaborate and synergize with the Nigeria Police in the area of prevention and investigation of financial crimes. Continuing, he pointed out that we have identified ourselves with the very serious mandate of the recovery of proceeds of crime, and I assure you of our solid support and commitment to the shared mandate. Dignitaries at the event included Vice President Kashim Shettima, the Ogun State Governor, Mr. Dapo Abiodun, members of the National Assembly, ministers, service chiefs, top government officials, industry leaders, and other key stakeholders. Contrary to media speculations that the embattled Ukraine has reached an agreement with the United States, US-led President Donald Trump on the rare earth minerals deal required as exchange or economic benefits for the US to continue to assist the war torn Ukraine with military aid against ongoing President Vladimir Putin-led Russian military destructions and bring peace to the country, the Ukrainian President, Volodymyr Zelensky, in a video press release on Wednesday night debunked the speculations, saying, the US and the Ukrainian teams have been working together in preparation for the negotiations on the terms of the economic deal this coming Friday in the US, signaling, no agreement has been reached yet. Zelensky in the video press release emphasized that for any meaningful peace deal to be reached, Europe must be involved in the negotiations, and the peace deal must guarantee Ukraine territorial security from future Russia invasions and encroachments. In addition to the video press release posted on his verified X social media account, he also tweeted and stated thus, "Today, there has been a lot of international work. Our teams are working with the United States as we prepare for negotiations this Friday, the agreement with the US. The support of our country and people. Peace and security guarantees are the key to ensuring that Russia can no longer destroy the lives of other nations. I will meet with the President of the United States, US. For me and for all of us in the world, it's important that US support is not stopped. Strength is needed on the path to peace. I am grateful to all the partners who continue to support us, and to all our people who believe in Ukraine." Some international news agencies had reported on Wednesday that the Ukraine and the US have reached an agreement on a framework for a broad economic deal that would include access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals, 3 senior Ukrainian officials said Tuesday, according to one of the world news networks. According to AP, the officials, who were familiar with the matter, spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak publicly. One of them said that Kyiv hopes that signing the agreement will ensure the continued flow of US military support that Ukraine urgently needs. The agreement could be signed as early as Friday, and plans are being drawn up for Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to travel to Washington to meet President Donald Trump, according to one of the Ukrainian officials. Another official said the agreement would provide an opportunity for Zelensky and Trump to discuss continued military aid to Ukraine, which is why Kyiv is eager to finalize the deal. Trump, speaking to reporters in the Oval Office, said he'd heard that Zelensky was coming and added that, "It's okay with me, if he'd like to, and he would like to sign it together with me." Trump called it a big deal that could be worth $1 trillion. It could be whatever, but it's rare earths and other things. We had reported that the United States President, Donald Trump, has said that if the war in Ukraine is not stopped now, it could lead or escalate to World War III, with the visiting French President, Emmanuel Macron, insisting that Russia is the aggressor of the war, hence Russia must pay damages as part of the negotiations for the peace deal. But the US, in another meeting at the United Nations General Assembly on Monday, joined Russia to vote against a resolution condemning Russia over the war in Ukraine. We had reported that, following the public criticism of President Donald Trump of the United States that the Ukrainian President, Volodymyr Zelensky, is a man who has lost touch with his people and a dictator who refused to conduct election. For new leader to take over the affairs of the country, Zelensky, while asked if he could resign by a journalist at a press conference organized to mark the 3rd-year anniversary of war in Ukraine, says he would do that if it would bring peace to Ukraine, and he's ready to do that as exchange for Ukraine to be enlisted as a member of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO. We had earlier reported that despite the medical condition that he's under, the high flow of oxygen in the hospital over double pneumonia, Pope Francis on Sunday, on the eve of the 3rd-year anniversary of the war in Ukraine launched by President Vladimir Putin-led Russia government, called on everyone in the world to remember victims of the war in Ukraine, describing the war, which started on February 24, 2022, as painful, shameful for all humanity. Previously, we reported that the Ukrainian President, Volodymyr Zelensky, has continued his phone conversations with world leaders, with a video and written press statement on Saturday saying that the world leaders must ensure that the Russian President, Vladimir Putin, is not allowed to deceive the world again, insisting that Putin has used Russian army, intelligence services and mercenaries over 30 years to bring death to America, Europe, Africa, Middle East, Syria. This, Zelensky stated after he began special defense campaign with phone conversations with world leaders following strained relationship with one of the countries that has majorly assisted Ukraine in its defense against Russia since 2022 when the war began, United States, US President Donald Trump, who threatened to stop military aid to Ukraine, claiming that Ukraine started the war it knows it cannot win, calling President Volodymyr Zelensky a modestly successful comedian and a dictator that deceived the immediate past US President, Joe Biden to commit over $350 billion of U.S. taxpayers' money on a war the North America country will not get any profit in return, with the Ukrainian president accusing Donald Trump of disinformation and saying that Putin-led Russia has intensified attacks and launched massive bomb destructions on Ukraine cities and villages.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.